Okay, and so, yeah, so just to finish that up, that idea of historical consciousness. So, after you take the tests, you honestly, say how you feel about the thought experiment, then reflect on this idea of historical consciousness, which, again, it's hard for us to do because we are a culture. We grow up with historical consciousness. It seems like it's natural to us, that it's like breathing air. But that's one of the things that Nietzsche is pointing out, that it's, this it doesn't have to be this way, that there are different ways to access the past. Um, and there are more healthy ways of doing that, okay? And, ultimately he sees historical consciousness the way he sees a lot of things in Truth and Lie and Extra Moral Sense, that it's ultimately a self-inflicted prison or a self-inflicted death, a type of suicide that um, we do with ourselves. So yes, we are human beings. We have a memory. We can remember things. Um, so that distinguishes us, we think, from animals, right? But certainly it's up there, right? So we can use this mechanism, but how do we use it, right? And so Nietzsche thinks that the move to historical consciousness, which he sees, originating, out of the Greeks and also out of Judeo-Christian monotheism, right? Socrates and Jesus and all that kind of stuff, right? Um, he thinks, it didn't have to go that way, that it didn't have to become the operating system that it did become, right? So Nietzsche is always looking for a way out and always saying that we can overcome things. We can even overcome the things which seem most natural to us, that are most ingrained in us, that are most inculcated in us, that are ideologically strong, that we have the ability to operate outside these things because of our human nature, of our ability to endlessly interpret the world and to see it in a mythopoetic, aesthetic, metaphorical sense. Okay, and then the last part of your analysis, what you always want to try to do is, try to bring in the earlier part of the text. So you wrote about language, truth, human nature, perspectivalism. How does that work in terms of the analysis, right? So basically what you're doing here is you're saying, here, I took the thought experiment of the greatest weight. This is my answer, right? This is how I felt and why. And then in the second part of your commentary, you're analyzing your response, your text of the greatest weight through these two means that I just mentioned. Okay?